a coachable moment can change your life. And I know this for a fact because a coachable moment changed my life. I had been working for the city of Cincinnati as a civil engineer because I have a degree in the field. And so I had been working for roughly 2 years. And I had been selected into a group of people that were going to be trained by Xavier University in transformational leadership. Now, this was going to be an intense training to really teach us how and the principles of causing change within an organization. So it was something that was very, very interesting, and not only interesting, it was a fun experience, but it was also very deepening in knowledge about change and causing change. Now, as a result of the program, one of the perks of being selected for this program was that we were going to have a sit down with a coach, one of the instructors certified in coaching. And this person really was going to sit down with us and review a couple of things. And one of those things being that we had gotten a 360-degree review of ourselves and our leadership style and our leadership potential. If you've never done a 360-degree review, all that means is that you have people from the top down, the bottom up, the side, from both sides, right? Family, friends, colleagues, former colleagues, maybe people that you report to, but then people that report to you. And so these people were all evaluating our potential for leadership and also how we perform as a leader. And the result of that was really, really interesting because not only did we have to have the input from other people, but we also had to evaluate ourselves. So in order for us to get the results, we go and we meet with the coach, and the coach sits down and opens up this profile. It's a nice little booklet, really, that really tells us all about ourselves and our leadership style. Talk about being self-aware. And while I'm sitting there with the coach, the coach comes in and opens this binder of things about me and starts to review the results and starts to let me know how things pan out. And one of the interesting things that came out of that was that everybody had rated me really high on just across the board, and no one really identified at that moment any one particular area that I really, really needed to work on and really go through leadership training bootcamp, and which was very I would say very gratifying in a way. The humbling part, though, was that I evaluated myself lower, extremely low in a lot of things. And so from then on, the feedback that I got was that you have to really be careful of how you assess yourself. We're so critical of ourselves. And if that's you, then take this word for value, that really you are your harshest critic. It is true. I saw the numbers. I still have it to prove it. And so examining both of those things and how those two things kind of compared, I really rated myself the opposite on every spectrum from what other people had rated me. And so the coach looks at me and says, well, you know what? We technically don't have anything to work on just because the feedback from other people is very positive. The thing that I would caution you and the thing that I would advise you on is to just be always aware of how you rate yourself and how you perceive and view yourself. And so I took that to heart and I ran with it from then on. But when the person said that, the coach said to me, we really don't have anything in particular to work on. I said, wait, hold up, wait a minute. You're getting paid to offer me coaching. Well, I didn't say that, but I looked at her and I said, well, thank you. That's very flattering. But I have something that I would like some help on and I would like to work on. And so she got really excited, and I will never forget. She goes, coachable moment. She lighted up and she perked up, and her words at that moment were, you know what? I couldn't force myself on you, but I had been wanting to work with you. By this point, we had already had a couple of sessions as a group with this person as the instructor. And so the person had already had a very keen sense of who we were and a little bit of our personal essence, everyone in the group. And so the person kind of had seen how we interacted as a group and maybe as individuals and how we thought and how we responded to some of the questions and that sort of thing. So what she tells me at that moment is, I couldn't force myself on you as a coach, but I've wanted to work with you just because from looking at you and interacting with you and seeing how you are with the group, you seem like someone that I would really enjoy collaborating with. And I said, well, great, this is like a God-given opportunity. And so what I wanted to work on is that at that moment, one of the things that I knew about myself is that I wanted to pursue a master's degree. Now, I had a bachelor's in civil engineering, but I wanted to go take it further and get a master's degree. The thing that I was really struggling with and the crossroads for me was determining whether I wanted to go for a master's in engineering or to go for a master's in leadership or administration, an MBA. And so in talking to her, I said, well, I kind of want to make that decision. I kind of want to look at pros and cons and really how can I shape and how will this, my future career look like with either one. And so that's exactly what we did. We started talking. She asked me a couple of questions, and the question that really stuck out to me, she said, okay, if you close your eyes, she said, can you think and imagine what does your work environment look like? Who are you? What does the space look like? What does the office, what does the view outside of the window looks like, right? And so I close my eyes and I start to describe that I see myself in a high-rise power office, like a C-suite type situation. And then she said, okay, and what sort of things are you doing? I said, well, I'm in an international business setting. And so that's kind of where my imagination took me. And so she said, okay, great. And so the other question she asked me was, when you were around 12 or 13 years old, did you have any sort of dreams of what you wanted to become? What did you want to be? And the words at that moment that came to mind was an international somebody, an international, business person, this international flawless career, something along those lines. And when I said that, then she looks at me, she goes, huh, interesting. And the interesting part, one of the things that she highlighted, she goes, well, we have a little bit of a conundrum, and that is because your current setting doesn't reflect any of that. Now, don't get me wrong, for anybody that might be watching this, that at that moment was a coworker, I absolutely loved and enjoyed the group of people that I work with. I came to appreciate all the personalities that I work with. And I really enjoyed what I was doing. We had a saying in the store department that no one dreams or grows up with the dream of working for the store department. However, I believe that the way that the group of people that worked in this particular division of the department, it's a fascinating group of people, and everybody kind of came to be very tight-knit. So I enjoyed that aspect of the work and the culture. And at that point, I was already kind of trying to make the place my own, so to speak. So I came to enjoy it for myself. But the thing was that my work environment didn't reflect the things that I saw myself in the long term. And, it took me sitting down with a coach to realize that. And so from then on, we were talking about, okay, well, based on that, then, the difference between pursuing the master's in engineering, it would take me on this path. Pursuing a master's in business administration or leadership would take me on a separate path. And so, spoiler alert, that's the path that I went for my master's degree. But in having this conversation, having this discussion, it really opened up my world, because working in the job that I had as an engineer, there's a very fine and delineated process or a progression, I guess, of a career as an engineer, a civil engineer at that. And so I had even talked to, at that point, the leader of our division, and the person had actually confided or said, I'm looking for someone to, in the future, really lead the division. And so the person really had their eye out for who had the leadership potential. And the person just happened to mention that, well, me in that case had potential. And so that meant that if I wanted to pursue that path, the path was already really laid out, like step by step. And so really that's what was hard for me to envision. How can I deviate? How can I get out of this path? And how can I carve out a whole new path for myself. And so sitting down with the coach allowed me to do that. And I have to say that from that moment on, that is really what changed the trajectory of my career, of my life. And then it opened my eyes to opportunities or things that I had not even imagined. I ended up going to Thunderbird School of Global Management. It was the greatest place that I think that I could have gone for myself. And it really did open up my world. But I have to say, it wasn't my idea. She was the coach was the one who said, have you ever heard of, and she named the school. And because of those words, I have to say that, like, I didn't just go there because she said it, but everything that I came to find out afterwards about the institution, really, it grabbed my attention, because one of the main tenets of the school is to train, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but is to train global leaders in causing good for the world, something along those lines. And that really grabbed my attention. That really spoke to me wanting to create an impact with whatever it is that I did in life. And so I met with the coach in March. I was working full time for the city of Cincinnati. And I would say that we met a couple of times just because she gave me a couple of assignments to look into schools, to figure out where to apply and that sort of thing. And the end result of that was that come August, I was already moving to Arizona. So to the complete opposite side of the country. I was going from Cincinnati to Arizona. And I did that within a span of, like, honestly, a month and a half, maybe 2. And so literally, the coach changed my life. And I have to say that going across the nation in such a short amount of time, that was just like, it was a no-brainer for me. I didn't sit down and like, oh my gosh, the pros and cons and all of this. I did a little bit of that, but it made sense for me at that time to do that. And after having done so, I have to say though, when I left Cincinnati, I was convinced no one could argue me out of the thought and the idea that I was going to come back. I knew and I believed in my heart of heart that I was only taking a leave of absence, and I was coming back to my job just with a richer understanding of the world and with some skills and knowledge that I was going to develop in this school. Everybody though, a lot of people that I talked to, they're like, once you leave, you're not coming back. And I'm like, no. I wouldn't take offense over it, but I was like, no, I'm a person of my word. I'm coming back. I didn't resign my job. I took a leave of absence, almost like a sabbatical. And so I had all intentions of coming back. In the moment I realized that I wasn't coming back, I had to really break the news to people, and that was very dramatic. I'll save that for another day, that story. But that's really how my career took off, I would say. And had it not been for me sitting down with a coach and myself asking for the help to just make this decision, I don't think I would have ever thought of something like that for myself. So I can honestly say that a coach can change your life. It did for me. So if you're ever in a place where you feel like you're stuck, you're trying to make decisions, but you need an objective view, and I use that word a lot because objective means that it's someone looking from the outside, someone that is really not, looking at things maybe the way that you're not looking at it, someone that doesn't necessarily have a personal investment in your situation. A lot of times that can open up your mind to think about things in a completely different way, and it can set you up in ways that may pleasantly and positively surprise you. So if you've ever thought about getting a coach, don't hesitate, go for it. You never know what kind of relationship this will prove to be. And I have to say that the coach was like super sweet because the person volunteered to review my my college entrance essays. Like the person reviewed my story and gave me feedback and all those things. So literally, had I not acknowledged that I wanted to work on something with the coach, I wouldn't have done that. And so my life changed because of a coachable moment. So if you're thinking about getting a coach, go for it. Get one. Invest. It's an investment for yourself. It's not an investment on the coach. It's an investment for you, yourself, and what it is that you want to work on and what you feel that would really set you up in a positive direction. So with that, I leave you, and hopefully you get yourself a coach. Until next time, bye-bye.